It's fair.
Well, I don't know if you can call it skepticism or if it's a respect for Saquon Barkley and the change in offensive identity. This is a complete shift. I know it's a rematch, but this is a completely different Eagles offensive attack. Remember, the last time these guys played, Jalen Hurts put the ball up 38 times in the air, right? He threw it 38 times. If they do that this weekend and don't hand it to Saquon 38 times, I'd lose my mind. If I'm Kellen Moore, I'm trying to set the NFL record in a Super Bowl for rushing attempts. That's my game plan. That's my game plan. I'm going to get him in base defense. You know Tranquil's on defense, and you know Bolton's on defense, but I want to bring in Leo Chanel. Hey, get in here. Come fit up in the run. Every single play. And anytime you bring an extra guy in the box, and you're going to go one-on-one, McDuffie on A.J. Brown, let's go one-on-one on the edge. Greg Jennings, am I right?
Yes.
I mean, come on now. Hand the ball to Saquon. Jalen Hurts' first 4 years in the league are identical, almost identical to Russell Wilson's first 4 years in the league, and he plays a different brand of football now. This offense runs through 26. It runs through the run game. Anytime they get a one-on-one matchup, throw it to A.J. Brown. All the other throws are really extensions of that run game. And that team last time, remember, it was Gainwell, Sanders, Boston Scott. They had 45 yards rushing. Saquon's averaging almost 150. So this is a completely different attack, and I understand why Micah Parsons is saying that. Stop the run, make Jalen Hurts beat you.
Let me ask you this. If Kansas City gets up 10 early, say second quarter, do you think they'll abandon the run? Philadelphia will abandon the run, or how tough is it to stick with it even though you're down?
You got to fight to stick with it. And the way they will have to do it is when you go down 10 points like that, and Greg knows this, down 10, down 14, when it's 3rd and 8, I don't need all 8. I can go for 6 and 7 because we're going for it on 4th down anyway. The brotherly shove, the tush push, whatever you want to call it, that's going to work in their favor, and that's going to count as a rushing attempt. You can't lose sight of that. Those are kind of like hidden points, hidden rushing attempts. That's where they can make up for it. But if Kellen Moore abandons the run game, I really think it's an advantage for the Chiefs.
So I want to ask you a question from a quarterback's perspective, because you've been in that role, obviously. Do you take slight? Do you take it as, man, they are disrespecting me? Because Jalen's going to say all the right things every time we hear him. But when you're home, when you're watching your film, when you're when you're preparing yourself to play these games, in the back of your mind, none of us feel like we can't get it done.
Right.
How is it that Jalen Hurts is saying these things? Is he really feeling this way? Are you feeling this way as a quarterback, or do you want that opportunity to put the ball in your hands?
I know for a fact he would love to throw the ball more than 24 times a game or whatever he's averaging. So did I when I was with the 2009 New York Jets. We'd run power with a fullback on the field on 3rd and 9. That's how good we were at running the football, and that was just our formula to win. The throws are going to happen. When he goes to sleep the night before the game, I guarantee you he hopes it's a 55-54 shootout and I get to throw it 60 times. I used to hope for that, but the game doesn't always play out like that. And, of course, you got to say the right things publicly.
Really, one quick follow-up question. Really, so with being a run-first team, when you do get those opportunities to throw the football, how much pressure do you feel trying to make those throws be pinpoint accurate in executing that pass?
And those pass executions that's where it changes from accuracy to precision. I got to put the ball a foot in front of your front number instead of slowing you down with that football on a 3rd and 10 with some of the best DBs chasing this guy, and I haven't thrown the ball in 15 plays. You know what I mean? That changes the way you play the game, but it's okay. You relish those opportunities. It puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback, but Jalen Hurts has done that. His stat line should be like 18 of 22, just around 200 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air, 1 touchdown in the air, 2 with his legs. That's all I need.
No, they would sign up for that.
100%.
So I also think, because if you listen to like the Philly local radio criticism of Jalen Hurts, a lot of it is the absurd number of throwaways, like a quarter of the pass attempts, something like a disproportionate amount are throwaways. And I do wonder if part of that is because when they have changed his role in diminished it in such a way, passing the ball, where he almost feels an obligation of, it's not my job to make a big play. It's my job not to make a big mistake. So that's why he's not thrown over the middle as much, tight window stuff. Here is the question I would have, which is, it's similar to Greg's, but more specific as far as if Wright, first series of the game, the Chiefs are presenting a front. that says it would be idiotic to run the ball here. There, you know what I mean? Like, we are daring you.
Yeah.
And if still Kellen Moore is like, no, we're not. We are running. Is that almost an affront to the quarterback right off the bat? Like, this is everything. Oh, your whole football life. If the defense is showing you this and you trust your guys on the outside, you gotta throw it. And if they're like, no, we're still going to try to establish Saquon, can that mess with a quarterback's confidence? And like, Brent, like, what are you talking about?
Because you got guys on the outside that can win.
Right. Since Pop Warner, this has been a past situation, and you're telling me we got to hand the ball off.
Either way, they're going to get to some of their zone read stuff, their read option stuff. So maybe even if he's not throwing it, it turns into triple option. Saquon's 1.
Yeah.
Jalen's 2 running it, and he can still ditch it, which is technically a pass. So it's going to happen the right way for him, I think, if they stick to the formula. But, yeah, of course, if you don't throw the ball for 2 series in a row, you're kind of looking around like,
do you guys trust me?
Well,
yeah.
Okay. Well, the good news is about Jalen Hurts is that he's very confident who he is, and is not a show me guy. I mean, he's just the most reserved, calm. You know, he gives a lot. You know, all of his fears and anxieties and hopes and dreams, he gives it up to God. Like he's a very, you know, grounded religious person. You know, that's his mentality. So I don't really think he's there to kind of get out of character. It's the great benefit of having a quarterback who doesn't show a lot of emotion. And I get why people kind of struggle with that, because people take it as a lack of caring. And when I played with players who didn't show a lot of emotion, it was like, do you care? Because I was very emotional, and I would have been better off being a little less emotional. And it was like, do you even care, man? Like, what is going on? And it's just the way how some people manage these moments. And that's why I'm so excited to see this Super Bowl, because it might actually be, we're always trying to figure out what is someone's superpower, right? What is someone's superpower? Lamar, it's his legs. Josh Allen, it's just his overall physicality, right? There's just nothing he can't do on the field. For Mahomes, it's his clutchness. You know, and we can go on and on and on. Joe Burrow, his arm, and like there is a real possibility that Jalen Hurts' superpower is just his ability to get the job done in the biggest moments. That like these moments, that for him, the Super Bowl truly is just another game, man. For him, there really is no difference between week 7 and the Super Bowl. And in fact, he rises to the occasion. You know, we saw him do that in the Super Bowl already. And now here's your chance to show it again. And to me, you show it again, that's like, yeah, dude. And I would really connect that to his mind state, to his mood, to kind of how he approaches the game. Because, yeah, it's hard. If everyone's telling you can't do something, it's hard to not want to prove them wrong. You know, I'm dually motivated. I always like to kind of just compare it to this channel, because I get amazing comments that people are just make me, you know, want to bring tears to my eyes, because I'm just like, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm reaching people in the exact way that I always dreamed I could, and here I am. Like that's just an amazing experience for me personally. And then of course, as I've talked about, I get plenty of negative and hate comments. And the reality is like they both motivate me. Right? They really truly do. When people tell me how great and this is awesome, I'm like, yes, I don't want to let you down. I want to keep making content. I want to keep going. I want it to be better and better and better and bigger, and let's go. And then on the other side of the coin, it's people that are like, wow, you're trash, you're garbage, better, you know, good luck doing this. And it's just like, okay. And that also motivates me. That also, you know, in a lot of ways, the haters keep me up at night. So now I'm making videos and working until like 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And the praise gets me out of bed. The praise gets me out of bed because it's like, all right, these guys are waiting for me. I got to go. I got to make content. I got to, you know, break this stuff down. You know, I owe it to those guys. And the haters are just like, no, I can't sleep right now. I got to make content. Let's go. Let's get this. These guys think that I'm not going to be able to do this. Okay, just wait. I got time for sleep. No, let's go. I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat some food. Boom. Let's go. So it's so interesting. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the right way to go about doing it, but we see that Jalen Hurts is just like this. And so, and I think the way how Mark Sanchez, you know, highlighted this, is so accurate. And man, I'm so conflicted. You know, after this season, things are obviously going to slow down significantly with football content. So much is going to be basketball content. And, I made 2,700 videos this past year. No exaggeration. Like, you can see the number when you go to the channel. Like, it's 2,700 videos. And I cover all of it, NFL Live, Get Up, First Take, First Things First, The Herd, et cetera, et cetera. But during all of this Super Bowl coverage, I was definitely leaning into things like First Things First and The Herd, because I know that it's just going to be like things are going to be significantly slower, and I'm going to be less interested in a lot of the other conversations that are going to be had, and it's just, there's going to be just a natural coming down period, no matter what it is. Like I could even see on Super Bowl, on Monday, like making like 1 or 2 First Things First videos, right? And just being like, okay, like kind of like that's it. Same thing with The Herd, same thing with all of these. But when you see what Mark Sanchez says, like so effortlessly, when he talks about the formula, what they need to do from the run game, and kind of what that's going to mean then for AJ Brown 101, you're just like, that's some real conversation. Like, it's like a massage for my football brain. It's like, oh yes, keep talking, Mark. Keep talking. Like, that's real conversation. That's real conversation. And I love that. And it wasn't even too technical. It wasn't so much in the X's and O's and all of that, but it was just like, it was just actually like really sharp, poignant, and to the point, and accurate, and not biased, and not in a way that he's not like, I'm guaranteeing Saquon will do this, and he's not saying they're going to do this, and that means Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown 101, AJ Brown's going to have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, it was just like, hey, this is just kind of what it looks like. And it wasn't so technical where he was, talking in a way that would, quite frankly, confuse, sorry, people who watch this, but the vast majority of people think they get things more than they do. That's just a reality. And it's one of the things that I take a lot of pride in, that I have a pretty strong understanding of what I know and what I don't know. And that's why I kind of laugh when Nick is talking about Pop Warner football, and I'm like, bro, have you ever wore cleats before? Like, have you ever wore cleats? Maybe soccer when you were like 5, like, come on, maybe let's not talk about how things go when you're playing sports here. That's might not be your lane. And so it's definitely something that I want to lean in more. And again, during the season, I feel as though it's more balanced, because there's just so much more out there, because you're talking about so many different teams, right? Like, I can grab an NFL Live clip and talk about the Las Vegas Raiders, the Detroit Lions, et cetera, et cetera. There's just not enough out there right now. So there's been such an extra reliance on especially First Things First, because then Colin Cowherd got sick, and then it was just like, they just kept showing like highlights, or a couple episodes was J-Mac, and I'm like, sorry, J-Mac, I'm just not that interested. And even him, he just kind of really relied heavily on like talking about Luka and the Lakers, and so like, I'm just, my stomach is full of so much of these nonsensical narratives that keep being forced and constructed. And again, I enjoy breaking them down and getting after them, but it's just, these last 2 weeks have been very cyclical, and I know you guys have to feel it too, because it is just the same conversation. And again, in a lot of ways, it's unavoidable, because even if we were just diving into the X's and O's aren't going to change over the next 2 weeks either. So it's just tough when it's just these two teams. And I tried to find other clips to talk. I talked about the Raiders and Pete Carroll. I talked about the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold and Drake May and the Patriots and whatnot. But again, like, people only care so much about that right now. Like, it is Eagles, Chiefs, let's go. And it's just like, having Mark Sanchez there, like, actually speak, because even then, like, again, Greg Jennings is an ex-NFL player, but when he talked about Saquon Barkley, he was like, Saquon Barkley is going to have a big game. And it was like, okay, great. Based on what? And he was just like, I believe it, and it was like, okay, cool. Like, what else you got for me? And it was like nothing. And then again, Mark Sanchez is just like, no, like, listen, this is the game plan that I think it should be. Kellen Moore should set the record no matter what, even when they're down by 10, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I love that. I love that. And I needed that. because it felt like true And again, whether it ends up happening or not, it's irrelevant because it's an actual real solid take that just, you know, you just need sometimes in a sea of nonsense. I mean, you know, I mean, just because even look at the background, it's just Chiefs. I believe that's a Saints jersey. Just generic blue Super Bowl T-shirts. Like, okay, I guess so. Some girl in Chiefs red. Like, it's not even split. Like, it's not even split. Like, it's just. I don't know. But those are just my thoughts. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles? Do you agree with Mark that they should pretty much try to set the record for the most rushing attempts? And do you agree that, you know, some of the skepticism or criticism towards Jalen Hurts is just really just more of an indicator how special Saquon Barkley has been? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.